afternoon, you're welcome to another edition of Ethics and Values with me, Jennifer Ogor. Well, for our first-time listener, this program has a name to encourage everyone, including myself, on the need to have ethics and imbibe values that are necessary for our country to develop. Now, these values, which are contained in Chapter 2, Section 23 of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution, include discipline, integrity, religious harmony, social justice, dignity of labor. The real question we always ask ourselves is, are you ready to be the Nigeria you want to see? Now, we look toward the Not Too Young to Run bill because it is targeted at the youth. And some people are of the school of thought that the youths are not ready. When will we ever be ready? Also, we know that the future of any nation depends largely on the young ones who constitute the potentials of human development in a society. Well, with me in the studio is a social reformer, a youth activist, a motivational speaker, a politician, an entrepreneur. He's just a jack of all trades. His name is Mr. Omagbitse Barrow.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, today we'll be focusing on discipline and how it affects the development of our nation. My first question to you, Mr. Barrow, is what do you think are some of the causes of indiscipline amongst the youth in Nigeria today?
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I think that the reason why young people are indisciplined is perhaps twofold. Firstly, it's that they have not gotten a good example from the older generation in terms of behavior and attitudes and the ethics and the values that you're talking about. We often talk about our youth as the future of our country, but how can we have a great future when the youth are indisciplined? And so the indiscipline stems from the example that they see the older generation, but also, and it's very easy to blame it on the older generation, but also the choices, the wide-eyed choices that young people make. So in as much as our parents and our forebearers may have disappointed us with their poor example, we too are now adults as young people, and so we should be conscious enough to make the right choices and not blame it on the old generation. So there is a combination of the legacy that has been passed to the young people, but more importantly for me is the choices that young people make, because they are disillusioned about what is really important in society. So you hear people say, oh well, the old generation have messed things up, so we'll just continue. But what we don't understand is that the old generation have messed things up. They have lived their lives to the full and enjoyed their lives, and they have left for younger people a mess, and we have to pick it up and do something about it. So that's where I think the challenge is, and it's all in the mind, Jennifer.
Okay. Earlier you were talking about, the older ones having been mentored and taught by the British and the missionaries, and how the form of discipline then, how it was then, the level of discipline and the way it is now. What do you think is actually the future of youths? Like, do you think the youths of Nigeria today can take up leadership positions better than the way our past leaders have?
Well, I'll be honest, I think that if we continue the way we are going, it will be a problem. But if we intervene very quickly, then we can rein in the problem. So what am I saying? That looking at the situation today, it looks bleak. However, if we start to reform, if we start to pay attention as social and community activists towards reorienting the minds of young people, like what your program is doing, and hope that people will listen and pay attention to it, then you would see the change. I was speaking to a group of children just this week where I said to them that Kwame Nkrumah, president of Ghana, had a social mobilization focus on young people, and that's what created people like Jerry Rawlings. It was out of that program he was running, the Nkrumahist movement for young children, that 20, 30 years later, Jerry Rawlings emerged as a student of that program. So what I'm saying is that we must be deliberate about educating children, young people today, and reorienting them towards proper values like what we are doing here today. And we must push this message, and this must become the priority for every forward-thinking Nigerian, every forward-thinking professional leader, politician. Everybody must understand that building the character and the integrity of young people is the only way we can have a decent future in Nigeria?
Well, if you're just joining us, this is Ethics and Values on Kapital FM 92.9, and so far I've been talking about discipline amongst the Nigerian youth. Well, unfortunately, in Nigeria today, nobody, they care little about the youth, and tomorrow they are expected to be leaders. Since independence in 1960, youth have been told that they are the leaders of tomorrow, but that tomorrow has never been allowed to come. Well, despite some of this, some youths are still working hard to come out of school in flying colors. Some of them also engage in one form of examination malpractice, which sometimes either their parents or even the invigilator actually get to facilitate some of these examination malpractices by making them see the questions days or weeks before the examination date, just like you've been saying. The same thing is applicable in terms of employment cases where jobs are not given to deserving and competent applicants, except for those who offer bribes and ladies who probably can sleep with those in charge, or even godfathers who can lobby for job slots for their godson, which we both know, or we all know that it shouldn't be the case. Well, however, how have these forms of indiscipline that I've mentioned, and of course, all that form of indiscipline that we know affected the growth of our nation?
Well, clearly, I mean, you articulated this very well. You know, if you think about, for example, we have organized and oftentimes, I use the word very strongly, constitutionalized mediocrity in our country. That is, we have set up systems that focus on the wrong things to use as the basis for giving people jobs and so on and so forth, and all the things you have mentioned. What does it do? It kills professionalism. It focuses on mammonism, the worship of money. So you find that, what is it? It is money that paid the bribe. It is money that took care of the invigilator, isn't it? Yeah. So the common denominator, we are all almost worshippers of money. So these are some of the impacts on our society. And how does that translate to further decadence? It means that people who work in every aspect of society are quarter-baked, half-baked. They are mediocres. We have mediocre accountants, doctors, broadcasters, politicians. We have so many square pegs desperately trying to fit into round holes. And it is the biggest problem with our society. So the people who should be, for even in the religious sphere of life, even the people who are in the faith community, they are there because of money. You know, so we have, money has become our new god in our society because of all these acts, because of all these acts of gross indiscipline. You know, and it almost seems like a never-ending story.
Like I was talking about because we had a program last week and we focused on social justice. I was giving my own personal experience about, I'm studying this course, and sometimes I get to have a one-on-one chat with probably a colleague of mine that is also studying the course. You know, we are classmates and online. And each time we get to that personal introduction, okay, my name is Jennifer, I'm age this, I'm from Nigeria.
Yes.
You know, there is this very cold response I get.
Yes.
Why am I being judged because I'm from Nigeria, not because of
I can tell you the answer. It's very simple. It's something I talk about a lot, Jennifer. I'm happy you brought it up. It is that there's something John Maxwell, who's one of the great leadership writers, he talks about. He calls it the law of the late. And I wish we could animate this on television. People could see what I'm doing to you. It's that no matter how good your private efforts are as a Nigerian, even if you are doing 9/10, the quality of leadership and politics in your society is going to put a lead over it. So if Nigeria is 3/10, and you are 6/10 or 7/10 as a student, as a learner, as a professional, guess what? You are no better than 3. You will always be lower than the lead of your society. You cannot be better than your society. So what must we do? We must work towards improving our society. The problem with us, especially those of us who are older in our middle age, is that we are so preoccupied with our jobs, with our careers, with building our private empires, that we do not pay attention to the political sphere of Nigeria, to the social aspects of Nigeria. So what
which
will happen
the youths are being encouraged to get involved in now.
So what will happen is that we will become rich, we will become successful, but our country will always bring us down to 3/10. That is why people treat you that way once you say you are in Nigeria.
Well, that's why we come up with this program, because we hope that one day we will be 8 or 9/10. Well, we cannot actually build a skyscraper in a bungalow foundation.
That's right.
And the people are the country, and what they are made of is the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
What should be the solution and responsibility of each individual, especially the young ones in this society? What should be our responsibility to the solution?
One of the things I told my young children who are teenagers, 2 young daughters of mine, is that your daddy and your mommy are going to try very hard to be very good people, but guess what? Because they are human, they may fail you. So I have told my 12 and 13-year-old daughters that straight in the eye, that here's what's going to happen. If at any point we fail you, remember that you have a choice to make. So one of the foundational things we have to put right with young people is to continue to reorientate them that they have choices. 2 girls lose their parents, at 20 years old in university. And one decides that because she has no money, she's going to become a prostitute. The other one decides that she's going to fry akara and sell and hustle her way up and make it in life. Those were choices. One person chose to be a criminal and to prostitute herself and do something that is unethical and immoral. The other person chose to work hard. You know what I mean? To choose to put herself down and do some menial work and pay her way through school. Young people need to understand that we must be responsible for our choices. You cannot say that because the environment, we hear that too much, the Nigerian factor. We can't stop allowing the Nigerian factor to determine everything. You've got to choose. And here's my great hope for young Nigerians, that if you choose the right path, it will be difficult, it will be tough, it will be hard. And this is the story of my own life, my own profession, my own businesses. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And don't worry about a godfather. Let me say this very clearly. We're a very religious society. So let me put it out there. Why do you need a godfather when you have God the Father?
Okay. Well, just allow your conscience speak to you. That's just what you're trying to say, basically. You know what is right. Do the right thing, not because the majority are doing
exactly.
What is wrong. So quickly, what are some of the benefits of imbibing discipline as a core value? Because I'm sure some people or a person out there might just be like, okay, who ethics and value help? What will I benefit from it? Ethics and value is extinct, it's it's old fashioned and all of those things.
Money
Not
is
doing
cool.
that is the basics of our being. What are some of these benefits of imbibing discipline?
Look, disciplined people are people who manage their private and public lives very well. Let me give this example very quickly. Lee Kuan Yew, Prime Minister of Singapore, was asked what was the most important ingredient for the success of Singapore. He said that he and his co-conspirators who founded Singapore took a vow not to commit adultery as a form of discipline. That if you cannot be disciplined in your private life, how can you be disciplined in public life? So to answer your question, discipline is the very important thing that will ensure that you can succeed. The problem is that people think about success as having plenty money. So we need to redefine success. If you redefine success as what I know it as, success is having a goal and working every day intentionally towards that goal. And that is what success really is. That is real success.
So it's more of like a personal development.
It's a journey. Success is a process. It's a journey. It's not a place. It's not a destination. The problem is that the people who are in the school of thought of mammonism and money and grand and everything must be grand and grandiose, everything must be big, those people preach that success is about how many big cars you have and how many houses. But real success, my dear people listening on this, the people who the world remembers are the people who were disciplined. In every generation, there are always brigands, there are always touts, there are always corrupt people, but the world forgets them. So if you want to be remembered, if you want to have a legacy in this world, then be a disciplined person.
Okay, just in one sentence, what would you say to the youth out there?
I would say to the youth out there, own your future, own your present, determine what you want to do, set clear, ambitious goals, have the audacity to pursue them in spite of what environmental factors are out there. Just go for it. It's going to be tough. I'm not giving you motivational talk here. It's going to be tough, but it will be well worth it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Omagbitse Barrow. Thank you so much. We've learned a lot. And I hope you did too, pick one or two lessons from this episode of Ethics and Values. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. A disciplined mind leads to happiness, and an undisciplined mind leads to suffering. This is where I call it a wrap on this week's edition of Ethics and Values. This program comes up every Friday at 3:30. Also endeavor to be a participant by following us and hitting the like button on Facebook and Instagram to drop in your comments, and not forgetting to use the hashtag Vote for Values on each comment. I want to give special appreciation to my general manager, Mercy Injoko, and my supervisor, Philomena Weze, and to you, my darling listener. And I hope you imbibe these values. We love you. Remember, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Until I come your way again, my name is Jennifer Ogor. I am Nigeria.